Well, it's almost time for the Pegasus, the second running of the Pegasus down at Gulfstream Park this Saturday, January 27th, a 12-horse field. Gunrunner, obviously the one to beat, and the place to play it is NYRA and the time to sign up for NYRA is now. Bet 200, get 200, a new member bonus available. Promo code is WINTER. Head on over to NYRABets.com for much more information. And if you're a member of NYRA, you can get involved in the many promotions we have to offer. And for Pegasus Day, there's a 500,000 point hit split on winning exactas in every single stake race, of course, including the Pegasus. You can split. If you hit a $10 minimum exacta on the Pegasus or any of the stake races, you'll share in 500,000 points. And if you're the person who hits the most exactas in the stake race at Gulfstream on Saturday, or you're tied, you will share in an additional 2 million point split. Exactas all day long in the stake races, and there are quite a few on the Pegasus card at Gulfstream Park. But of course, the big one is the Pegasus. And the big horse is Gunrunner, who's sure to be Horse of the Year by the time they run the Pegasus. And one of the reasons he'll be Horse of the Year is winning 2 stakes at Saratoga, but a major reason is winning the race we'll look at here. And this is the Breeders' Cup Classic out at Del Mar, run unbelievably almost 3 months ago. The horse outside him is Collected. The horse in third is West Coast. Behind them is War Story in the green. Down the inside on the dead rail is Gunnavera, who is wide, and his rider took him down the rail, but he is lugging in because you can see him hitting left-handed. But Gunrunner was the one who got the job done, and he is much the horse to beat. Now, the dynamics of this race are a bit different because he has significant speed inside of him in Sharp Azteca, and also Collected, and we'll talk about him in a moment, is going to show likely more speed today as well than he did last time. Gunrunner has been terrific, virtually really unbeatable last year, and he kept running better and better with every race. The situation is somewhat different in this Pegasus because he breaks from post 10. It's not quite the dreaded post 12, and fortunately for him, the horses to his immediate inside do not have speed, so he should be able to clear them fairly easily. Now, he's got to break sharply. Any kind of hesitation to start would significantly hurt his chances because outside posts, going 1 1/8 where they hit the turn extremely quickly, have proven to be extremely difficult to overcome over time. So he is hindered by that outside post, and perhaps that's the only thing that can beat him, but he is a very good horse. Collected tried to beat him last time. Collected took it to him, and he was just better, but Collected ran well. Collected's return to the races, however, on December 26th at Santa Anita was a terrible effort. He just had none of the speed he'd have in the past. He trailed a slow pace. He tried to make a move. You can't close in the slow pace. And of course, that slow pace was set by Giant Expectations, who drew the dreaded post 12. So any tiny chance he had was eliminated at the start. Collected is going to have to run a lot better than he ran last time. Now, he has run much better in his prior races, and he didn't just run well at Del Mar, he ran well at Santa Anita as well. But off his last race, you have to imagine they're going to be more aggressive at the start, and I imagine they were putting speed into him in the mornings. So he could be involved in the pace, but he couldn't beat Gunrunner last time, and based on his last race, I'm trying to beat Collected. Now, West Coast. We'll take a look at West Coast winning the Travers at Saratoga, defeating Gunnavera, who actually ran extremely well that day. Gunnavera, who finished second in the Travers, made this huge wide move while West Coast was enjoying a very cozy trip down the very strong inside. Gunnavera ran extremely well, and a repeat of that performance gives him a chance to at least get a piece of this Pegasus at a big price. But West Coast, he is, to me, the biggest threat to Gunrunner. West Coast drew very well, drawing a favorable inside position. And while he's been successful using speed, he has the ability to rate. I think in the Breeders' Cup Classic, because of the dynamics of the race and the way the race unfolded, he was forced to be closer than perhaps was in his best interest, and he had to chase a bit. In this race, with seemingly some more speed because of Sharp Azteca, he can be rated a bit. And with his inside post, he may get an absolutely perfect trip without doing that much work early, while the others have to work for position. And West Coast, to me, will be the second choice, and he is the likeliest upsetter if Gunrunner loses this race. We've mentioned Sharp Azteca a couple times. Let's talk about Sharp Azteca, and let's look at his brilliant year-ending victory in our Cigar Mile at Aqueduct. He won with devastating ease, and he showed an ability to rate and sit off of a fairly contentious pace and explode in the stretch. And it seems like Sharp Azteca is getting better with every race. But the thing you have to remember is his one-turn mile races have been the best races he's run. If you look at even the Met where he finished second, but you look at his Kelso, you look at his Cigar Mile, these were his best efforts around one turn. He's run well enough around 2 turns, and he probably was hampered by being down towards the inside inside in the Breeders' Cup Dirt Mile out at Del Mar where you wanted to be outside, and he ran fine that day, but not well enough to win this race. He's got to get a mile and eighth around 2 turns, and he's got to deal with speed of Collected and Gun Runner. He's got to survive them and hold off any closers. If he does that, I'm going to lose my money. I will respect him. I respect him going in. I'll respect him much more. A lot of people think he can wire this field. If he does it, I'm going to lose. I don't believe that it's going to happen. Now let's take a look at some of the others, and basically the others are mostly vying for smaller parts, and that includes the terrific race mare Stellar Wind, who was purchased by Coolmore since her last race, a non-effort in the Breeders' Cup. Now, her prior race, the one we're looking at right here, was out at Del Mar. This is the Clement Hirsch when she won, and she was victorious. Now, she won 3 Grade 1s last year. Arguably, she had the best year of any older filly or mare going long in the dirt. Remember, Forever Unbridled, who's going to win that division, the Eclipse, she won the Breeders' Cup, and she beat Songbird fair and square at Saratoga. She had 2 Grade 1 wins. Stellar Wind had 3, and she ran very well in some of these races, but perhaps not as well as she had in previous years. And obviously, coming off for non-effort in the Breeders' Cup, she's a bit of a concern. But she's been transferred to Chad Brown for this race, likely her last career start before she's bred. It's a trainer change to Chad Brown. They would not run her if she wasn't doing well. And I think she has the kind of running style where she could pick up a small piece in this race. So she's the kind of horse at a price I'd want to use 3rd and 4th in tries and supers. I don't think there's any way she's good enough to win this race, but perhaps she could get a minor share. Many will feel similarly about the 11 horse Seeking the Soul. Here is Seeking the Soul winning the Clark at Churchill late in November. Seeking the Soul got an absolutely perfect trip. Diversify, the speed fell apart in the late stages, and this was a race that was dominated by the 1, 2, 3 finishers by horses that came from well back in the pack. Now he draws post 11, so he's got to get position from a bad outside post after getting perfect position with no work whatsoever from a good inside post, and he's got to beat significantly better horses. If you like him as a long shot, Seeking the Soul, and if the race totally falls apart, perhaps he could be 3rd or 4th. I have a hard time making a case for Seeking the Soul for trainer Dallas Stewart. The wild card in this race is Toast of New York. Now, the Toast of New York that we're looking at here in the 2014, you heard me right, the 2014 Breeders' Cup Classic, where he lost to Byron and he finished ahead of the mighty California Chrome. This effort would actually give him a chance to get a small piece of this race. He got no help with the draw when he drew post number 9, but he was a very good horse. He's proficient on turf, synthetic, which may be his best surface, but he showed in this Breeders' Cup Classic he can run well in the dirt. This was 2014. Since this race, he's had 1 race back in December on synthetic at Lingfield. I believe he was trying to stand at stud. He's back now racing. 3+ years off and 1 race on synthetic, post number 9. If he was 2,000 to 1, I might use him for 3rd or 4th in the super. At his projected 20 to 25 to 1, I think he's a significant underlay, and anywhere on the board is bad for me for Toast of New York. The other horses are mostly filler in here, though I don't think War Story ran that badly in the Breeders' Cup Classic, and perhaps he's the kind of horse that could get 4th in this race, but make no mistake, the big gun is Gun Runner. He's the horse to beat. I'm going to take a small shot to beat him in here. I'm going to put West Coast on top, the number 2 West Coast, who I think is going to enjoy a very good trip in here, and he doesn't have to do the work for position. So for me, it's West Coast, the number 2 on top. The number 10, Gun Runner, is my 2nd choice in this race. My 3rd choice is the 6, Gunnevera. Gunnevera, to me, is improving. His Travers was very good, and he was hampered last time by not only being down the bad inside in the stretch, but also by the fact that it was a race dominating the front end. And I love the rider switch that he gets to Luis Saez. All he did on Wednesday at Gulfstream was win 7 races. This is an upgrade for him, and he is the long shot with a chance in here to get a big piece. I'll put the 3 Stellar Win as my 4th choice. 2-10-6-3 for me. I'm trying to upset Gun Runner in what will be his last career start, as West Coast will look to embark on what could be his Horse of the Year campaign as a 4-year-old. It's the Pegasus. You want to bet it through NYRA-Bets. And now is the best time to sign up for NYRA-Bets. Bet 200, get 200. It's a new member bonus. You use promo code WINTER when you sign up at NYRABets.com and become eligible to play all sorts of bonuses. A $500,000 hit and split on a $10 exacta on any and all stakes, including the Pegasus on Pegasus Day at Gulfstream Park. And if you are the winner of the most exactas, tied or by yourself, you will share in $2 million bonus. A lot of money up for grabs. It's Pegasus Day this Saturday at Gulfstream Park.